Hey everyone, welcome to this very first video. Here I'm going to introduce you to blockchain. We're going to break it down in a simple beginner friendly way. You don't need any prior technical or crypto knowledge. I'll explain everything from first principles. Blockchain can seem complicated at first, but by the end of this video, you clearly understand what blockchain is, how it works, why it matters, and how it's being used in the real world. My goal is simple. By the end of this video, blockchain should feel logical, not mysterious. If at any point something is unclear, don't worry, that's totally normal. Just stay engaged and everything will connect. Here's what we're going to cover today. First, we'll answer the most important question. What exactly is blockchain? Then we look at its history and evolution, how blockchain works technically, the core concepts like decentralization, consensus, and smart contracts, real world use cases, different blockchain platforms, and finally, we'll see blockchain in action using a transaction as an example. By structuring this session this way, we move from basic understanding, then technical foundation, and then real world application. Let's start with the basics. Let's imagine something simple. Picture a record book or a notebook. Now imagine that this notebook is not owned by one person, but instead shared across 10,000 people. Everyone has an identical copy. Whenever someone writes something in the notebook, every copy updates at the same time. This means nobody can secretly change anything. Everybody can verify what's written, and if someone tries to cheat, everyone will notice. That, at a high level, is how blockchain works. Each page in a notebook represents a block. Each new page records transactions or data, and each page linked to the previous one, forming a chain of blocks. And that's why we call it blockchain. Now, here's the key idea. Once a page is added, you cannot erase or change it. Instead, if something needs correction, you add a new page. That's why blockchain is called immutable, meaning it cannot be changed. And before a new page is added, everyone checks and agrees on the content. This agreement process is called consensus. So, in simple terms, blockchain is a shared, permanent, tamper-proof digital notebook that everyone can trust without needing central authority. This is powerful because traditionally we trust banks, governments, and companies. Blockchain removes the need for blind trust and replaces it with math, cryptography, and network agreement. What is blockchain? Let's formalize its definition. A blockchain is a decentralized distributed ledger that records transactions across many computers in such a way that those transactions cannot be altered retroactively. Let's break that down by key characteristics. First one, decentralization. No single entity controls the system. Thousands of computers called nodes maintain the network. Second, transparency. All transactions can be viewed and verified publicly. Third, immutability. Once data is written, it cannot be changed or deleted. This combination creates trust without intermediaries. Traditionally, if I send you money, we need a bank, payment processors, and clearing houses. Blockchain allows peer-to-peer transfer directly between two people with cryptographic trust instead of institutional trust. Now, let's look at the history and evolution of blockchain. Blockchain didn't appear overnight. In 1991, scientists proposed the idea of cryptographic chains, a method of securely linking data. In 2009, Bitcoin was released by the anonymous creator Satoshi Nakamoto. This was the first real implementation of blockchain technology. In 2015, Ethereum launched and introduced programmable smart contracts, which expanded blockchain beyond just money. From 2020 onward, we saw the explosion of DeFi, NFTs, enterprise blockchain, Web3, and by 2024, there were over 560 million crypto users worldwide. This shows that blockchain is no longer experimental, it is mainstream infrastructure in the making. Let's now understand how blockchain works technically. Think of each block as a container of data. Each block contains transaction data, timestamp, a unique cryptographic fingerprint called a hash, and the hash of the previous block. This creates a cryptographic chain. If someone tries to alter a past block, the hash changes and breaks the entire chain, making tampering immediately detectable. That's why blockchain is extremely secure. Blocks are connected like links in a metal chain. To change one, you need to change every block after it across thousands of computers simultaneously, which is practically impossible. Now that we understand how blockchain works at a high level, the next important step is to learn some basic blockchain vocabulary. Every new field has its own language, and blockchain is no different. If you understand these few terms, everything else becomes much easier to follow. Let's start with smart contracts. A smart contract is simply a program that runs on the blockchain. But unlike normal programs, you cannot edit it once it's deployed. No one can interfere with its execution, and it runs automatically when conditions are met. Think of a smart contract like a digital vending machine. You insert money, you press a button, and the machine automatically gives you your item. No cashier, no permission, no human trust. The logic is built directly into the systems. That's exactly how a smart contract works. Next, let's talk about wallet. A wallet is a digital tool that allows users to store, send, receive, and manage cryptocurrencies. But here's something very important. A wallet does not store your coins. Your coins live on the blockchain. Your wallet stores private keys, which gives you access to your funds. This means if you lose private keys, you lose access forever. That's why self custody is powerful, but also comes with responsibility. Next, we have nodes. A node is a computer that participates in the blockchain network. Nodes store copies of the blockchain, validate transactions, enforce network rules. The more nodes a blockchain has, the more secure and decentralized it becomes. Next, we have the ledger. A ledger is simply the full record of all transactions that ever occurred on the blockchain. Think of it as a global financial history book. And then we have consensus. Consensus is a process by which nodes agree on which transactions are valid. Since there's no boss, the network must democratically agree on truth. And finally, we have a hash. Hash is a cryptographic function that converts input data into a fixed length string. If you remember these terms, smart contract, wallet, node, ledger, consensus, hash, you already understand the language of blockchain.